and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am building a house for my 100 baby challenge because I found that 10 parts in, I think I'm 11 parts in actually now, that my house was feeling a bit too small for the amount of kids I was having. Like, one child would always be bedless, and that wasn't really a place I wanted to be at with the challenge. So I decided to expand, and I wanted to make it kind of the perfect house for the 100 baby challenge, which I feel like a lot of people have tried to do this before, and it's really hard to get a perfect house for gameplay because there's so many little glitches and just odd placements that can just make everything break. And so it's really difficult to find a balance between it looking cool and breaking, like not breaking, because if you make a house look nice and you fill it with clutter, a lot of the time the house just isn't functional and it's really frustrating. So I tried to make sure that it wasn't too full of clutter, also so I could save money because I was working on a budget, although the budget was over 100,000 simoleons. So I was doing fine. So I tried to make sure that this house would look kind of cute but also function. And I wish when I chose where I was going to live for this challenge, I chose a bigger lot because I really wanted a nice, like, massive garden with loads of different activities and stuff in it. So I ended up using the toddler ball pit, the tree house, the toddler tree house, one of those splash pad things. But I also wanted that massive, like, toddler play area, which you'll see towards the end of the video, that came with the toddler stuff pack, which is sometimes with the ball pet, but it looks like it's hideous. It's a mess. But I've never played with it before, so I wanted to give it a go. But there was no room in my garden, which you can see, like, my house is fairly big as I'm building it right now, but there's no room for anything in the garden. And yeah, so I did manage to fit everything I wanted apart from that toddler play thing, which is probably a blessing in disguise because it is really ugly. And I was just wanting it for curiosity, but I guess I'll have to use it another time. I didn't really know what style I was trying to go for with this house. I love the cottage living wallpapers, so I wanted to use those. And also I wanted, like, it to look quite suburban because she lives in San Sequoia and that's quite a suburban area. And there's always so many windows I want to use, but the colors don't really match properly. It's really frustrating. So I wanted to use the cottage living ones, the growing together ones. I think I tried to use the Strangeville ones at some point. I don't really know. It was quite difficult trying to decide, oh, which ones do I use, because none of them have the same white swatch. It's really weird. Like, all the cottage living ones, some of them were just way too dark. Also, I love the Realm of Magic windows so much, and I love using them, but they're so out there and really weird, and I just couldn't work them into it. When I talk about the Realm of Magic ones, I mean the spherical stained glass ones, because those are the fun ones, but they are also quite ugly a lot of the time. You have to have quite a stylized build to make use of them, so I did not get to use them in this video, but I did definitely try. I was looking through the swatches and I was like, oh, is there a way to add them? But sadly there wasn't. Something I am obsessed with doing, though, in The Sims is making kind of traditional houses that then have a modern extension at the back, and it's just so fun. I love it. And I always use the modern extension as like a kind of either a dining room or a conservatory or a greenhouse. And in this build, I decided to use it as a greenhouse. So I've decided I'm going to have Eliza focus on her garden. She'll have a greenhouse, which will have, by the end of her aspiration, hopefully, one of each crop. And then outside, I'll do a rotation of the seasonal crops. It'll be quite cool. Hopefully. Maybe I'll get bored of it and won't do it, but that is my plan for now. And yeah, so I made sure to include lots of plant pots, but I don't think there'll be enough. There are lots of different plants in this game, and I do not think I have enough space for all of them, especially the trees. The trees just don't fit inside very easily, so I'm going to have those outside, sadly. But that's just what I'm going to have to deal with. Also, something I have to remember for next episode when I record that is when I was building this, I noticed that there's a lemon tree just off the side of the lot, and Eliza doesn't have any lemons yet, so I needed to get her to harvest those lemons so she can have a lemon tree. Also, I wanted to be able to make the lot sustainable so we don't really have to pay many bills. So I installed the solar panels on the modern extension and also the free roof texture thing that actually works as a solar panel, which I think is so overpowered and cool. Like, if you don't care about looks at all and you just want a practical build, always use that, because it's not even that ugly, but it's perfect for off the grid lots because it's free. You don't have to pay anything for it. You could get infinite amounts of it. I don't know if it stacks based on how much roof area you have, or I don't know how it works exactly. But, and then it just generates power for you and it's amazing. I bet it doesn't do very much, but it's better than nothing, especially if you're on an off the grid lot. Anyway, so what I want to do maybe later down the line is get enough electricity generation and water generation in the house. Right now I don't have any water generation, so I'm gonna have to look into that so that I don't have to have her be on the grid. I'll put the off the grid lot tray on, and then I won't have to pay many bills. In my personal gameplay, I always use the simple living lot challenge, which is basically where you don't have infinite ingredients and you have to order ingredients or you have to grow them yourself. And I think that's really exciting and it adds a lot of realism to the game. So when she has her garden finished, I might use that lot challenge because it'll just be fun and it's more realistic as well. But something I did actually use, which I thought was really interesting, was I bought one of those buffet tables and I'm going to use that instead of maybe Eliza just cooking because it'll be a lot quicker. So what you do is you just pay like 200 simoleons or something, and then you get a load of food, and that would be really useful. I also put a freezer thing that came with Get to Work in the toddler room, so I can put food in there and they can just grab it, and it won't go off because it's in a fridge, so it'll work really well, hopefully. So that's a tip that I heard is really good for this challenge. Also, something I was really pleased with was that when I did the kitchen, I wanted it to be raised down because I love platforms and I never actually get to use them properly. I think at some point I'm going to have to do a build that has a grand staircase where you start as two staircases and they meet in the middle at a platform and then you keep going up. One of those, because those are so fun and I love that you can do them now with platforms. So I'm going to have to work more with those. But I was really pleased I got to use it for the kitchen. Also, I wanted to have a basement because I love basements and I feel like they're always overlooked in gameplay because they are so useful. Back when I was first playing the game, I used to have these massive basements that were just the entire size of the lot and they would keep going down, and I'd put all my random stuff there. I'd put a microscope there, I'd put the cupcake machine there, and I'd have little rooms that were different activities, and it was so useful because I didn't have to have them upstairs ruining my pretty build, which wasn't even that, it wasn't good because I wasn't good at building at all. So I just love basements. But that was before they updated it so that when you have a basement, it kind of messes with the terrain, which is a bit annoying. And you can fix that, but it just means that for the first layer of basement, you kind of have to have it restricted to the floor plan of the ground floor, which is a bit frustrating. But then you can keep going deeper. I think you can go deeper by like 3 floors. So it is quite easy to avoid it. It's just you have to go quite far down, which can be a bit annoying for gameplay. Just for the 100 baby challenge overall, I'm really enjoying the challenge because it's just quite comforting how repetitive it is with you just have another baby, get them to age up, and it's really satisfying when I can get it done quite quickly. And keeping the household less than 8 sims is really satisfying to me. So I'm just going to keep trying to keep less than 8 sims and just move the babies out as quick as possible. And we're nearly a 10th of the way through. I think we're close to our 10th baby, which is really exciting. So I don't know, we're like a year in the challenge almost. It's almost been a year since I recorded my first video where I made the first house. So I think technically we're almost a year through the challenge, which does not bode well if we're only a 10th way through, because that kind of implies it's going to take us 10 years, which I do not want to happen. I don't want to spend 10 years doing this. This challenge definitely does have a reputation for taking 10 years, but hopefully when I do it, it won't, because I am a bit nervous about how long that's going to take. Hopefully not 10 years though. So fingers crossed. Something I did struggle to do was find a space for Eliza's fitness equipment. I ended up putting it upstairs, but I was really struggling to like figure out where to put it because I was like, oh, I could put it in the basement, but I don't think I really am prepared to have a full-on skill room in the basement like I used to, where I have loads of different skills for different rooms. I wasn't really prepared to go there yet. So I was like, oh, where do I put it? And then I realized I didn't know what to do with the upstairs landing. Like I didn't have any idea. I always really struggle with furnishing landings because they're always quite big when I do them, and what can you even put there? You could put some seating, a desk maybe, I don't know. So I just put the fitness area there, and the easel. So Eliza's going to be spending a lot of time there, I guess. And so when I was doing the toddler room, I decided I wanted to do a kind of custom wallpaper where I used the glittery wallpaper, which is my favorite kids' wallpaper, in 3 different colors. And I just kind of rotated it around and made a pattern. And I really liked that. I thought it was quite cute. I kind of stole the idea from something I saw in the gallery like 5 years ago. And I remember thinking it was really cool then. And then I decided to do it today because I remembered it. But I don't know. I think it was an EA build, which I don't know. Because, okay, it was when I was on Xbox and it was before Xbox had access. No, it was when I was on PlayStation and it was before PlayStation had access to the full gallery. So all I had access to was the EA builds, I'm pretty sure. So it was an EA build. But some of those EA builds were like, they were very modern. They were quite out there. And at the time, I thought real people had made them. But that wasn't true. They were EA builds. And they were all really modern, which was really confusing. I don't know why. They weren't really in the style that EA usually builds in. And it's quite confusing. I think I'm going to have to look into that at some point. Because, I don't know, like, they were much more full than EA builds usually are. Which might be because they didn't actually come in a pack. And I was also surprised that they used multiple packs. Like, they often use packs I didn't have. So I'd often get kind of like bare walls that didn't really have anything on them. But that's just kind of confusing. I'm thinking back and I don't know what that whole situation was. I wonder if you can still find that build on the gallery though, because it did inspire me to do this toddler room. I was quite proud of the toddler room and I ended up installing a back door from the toddler room to the outside play area because I was hoping that the toddlers would never have to leave this room and no one would ever have to go in apart from the toddlers. So toddlers just kind of stay in that area. No one enters, no one leaves kind of thing. And so that was my plan. Oh, you know what I'm realizing? I should have used a doggy door instead of the back door that I installed in the toddler room because only toddlers can walk through that. That would have been so funny. Oh, I'm actually really upset I didn't think of that. Never mind, maybe I'll change it later. So my plan was literally just, the toddlers have to stay in that room or they can go outside and play with the toddler stuff outside. So I put in a potty in that, which they probably won't use because a lot of the time I just neglect the potty skill and get them level 3 in imagination, movement, and communication. No, level 5, I mean. So I just don't bother with potty because it's one of the skills I don't need to level up. But I included it anyway because I already had it, and who knows, maybe I'll want to have the toddlers learn how to pee. I don't know. So I included the potty, and I also included 2 beds because I don't think I'm going to have more than 2 toddlers at a time, hopefully. And then I put in the food buffet table, which at first I thought was the fridge thing that came with Get to Work. And don't ask me why I thought that. I just thought that was how it worked. But then I realized, no, that's not what that is. So I moved the buffet table into the kind of the dining room area and I replaced it in the toddler room with the fridge. So the toddlers can eat with the fridge. The toddlers can go to the toilet with the potty. They can sleep in the beds. They just don't, I never have them fill their communication, social need thing up. They could talk to each other, I guess, if I have multiple toddlers at a time. And fun, they have loads of toys. So that's all their needs, I'm pretty sure. Hygiene, yeah, they just stay stinky. Hygiene and social I just completely neglect. And it just doesn't matter because there's no negative effect other than them just being sad, which apparently does lower the speed that they gain skills, which is probably my bad for forcing my tired toddlers who are just so miserable to gain skills because that was actually probably less efficient than if I just sent them to bed. But never mind, like, it doesn't matter. That's over now. So, but the toddlers will be fine and they can look after all their needs there. And I don't actually have a bath in this house, I don't think. No, I do. I have a shower bath combo upstairs. So if they do need to get bathed, they can be bathed in that bath or in the sink. I love that you can do that in the sink now because before, if you were going to have a child, you had to have a bath, which is so annoying because when they were a toddler, you could only wash them in the bath. But it's been here for a while now, like a couple of years, you can wash them in the sink. And I remember when they added it and no one seemed to notice, it was really confusing. And I'd never heard of it. I just saw the wash up interaction. I was like, what on earth? And the animation just seemed really, they just kind of get chucked in the air. So it just seemed really strange. It was kind of like a mysterious secret interaction that you unlock with cheats, but it wasn't. It was just an update. So I felt like, why did they do it like that? I don't get why they didn't animate them getting bathed in the sink. I feel like that would have been cuter, but I think it was just them being lazy, like at the end of the day. But it can't have been too hard to change the animation from the bath to the sink, I guess. But I don't know. When I was doing Eliza's room, I realized it was quite big, but I guess that's good because when I was in the smaller house and she had a smaller room, she would glitch out when she was woohooing with the various men, and so it would be quite annoying because I'd have to keep trying to get them to woohoo because they wouldn't do it because there wasn't space apparently. So I edited that out of all my videos, but that was happening behind the scenes. They just wouldn't get in because there wasn't space, I guess. I don't know. It was kind of strange. But I think we won't have that problem in her new room. And so moving on to the outside of the house, I included loads of different play area things. I had swings, I had the tree house, I had a sand pit, I had I think I didn't have a paddling pool, but I wanted a paddling pool. That was something I missed out on. I also had splash pads, I had a sprinkler set, I had some plants outside. It was all just, it's very exciting out there. It's quite colourful, so maybe a bit jarring, but I quite like it. I think it's playful. Anyway, so we're coming towards the end of the video. So if you enjoyed it, it would be amazing if you could leave a like down below, maybe leave a comment, subscribe, share it with a friend. Thank you for watching and goodbye.